Most people live their entire lives asleep. They wake up in the morning not to chase their dreams, but to survive another day. Their thoughts repeat like broken records filled with doubt, fear, and regret. They do not realize that every thought they think is shaping their future. When your mind is asleep, your life becomes a pattern, a routine, a circle that never breaks. You keep wishing for change, but nothing changes because your mind is still locked in the same story. Awakening your mind means breaking the walls you built around yourself. It means asking yourself why you do what you do and who you are becoming through it. It means questioning every belief that tells you you cannot have more. The moment you become aware of your own thinking, you begin to see how powerful you truly are. The thoughts you allow are the seeds of your destiny. When Napoleon Hill said what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, he was not speaking in poetry, he was speaking in truth. Every great achievement began in the silence of someone's mind. Your reality is only a reflection of what you continuously think and accept as true. When you awaken, you stop letting negative thoughts drive your life. You start feeding your mind with ideas of strength, courage, and possibility. Awakening is not easy. It requires honesty. It demands you to face the lies you told yourself for years. It asks you to step away from comfort and confront the voice inside that says you are not enough. But once you open your eyes to your potential, you can never go back to sleep again. You begin to see light in places that once felt dark. You feel alive because now you understand that life is not happening to you, it is responding to you. The moment you decide to take full responsibility for your life, everything begins to change. Most people spend their days blaming circumstances, other people, or bad luck for where they are. They point fingers at their parents, their boss, their past, their environment, yet nothing changes because responsibility has never been taken. Responsibility is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. When you accept that every result in your life is connected to your own choices, you stop waiting for rescue and start creating your own rescue. Napoleon Hill taught that success begins the instant you stop making excuses. Every excuse is a chain that keeps you tied to the same situation. When you say, "I cannot," because you give away your power. But when you say, "I will," even if it is hard, you take your power back. Taking responsibility does not mean you are guilty of everything that happened to you. It means you choose how to respond. Life will throw storms your way, but you control how you sail through them. Many people fear responsibility because it removes comfort. It exposes the truth that their habits, their thoughts, and their daily actions have built the life they live now. But this truth is not punishment, it is freedom. If your choices built your life, then your new choices can rebuild it. Once you take ownership of your results, you begin to act differently. You stop waiting for motivation and start building discipline. You stop blaming the world and start shaping your world. Every great achiever in history carried the weight of their own life on their shoulders. They did not wait for help, they created help. They did not depend on luck, they depended on effort. When you live with this mindset, you no longer feel powerless. You start to see every setback as a message asking, what will you do about it? That question changes everything because responsibility transforms victims into creators and followers into leaders. Pain is the most honest teacher you will ever meet. It never lies to you and it never hides the truth. Every time you face struggle, pain is trying to show you something about yourself. It reveals your weakness, it exposes your limits, and it asks you to grow stronger than you were before. Most people run from pain thinking that comfort means happiness, but comfort is the enemy of growth. The ones who rise above the ordinary are those who look pain in the eyes and say, "Teach me what I need to learn." Napoleon Hill believed that every adversity carries within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. When you are hurt, rejected, or broken, that is not the end of your story. It is the moment your character begins to form. The fire that burns you also shapes you. Just like gold is purified through heat, the human spirit becomes stronger through suffering. Every tear you have shed, every failure you have faced, every disappointment that broke your heart has been preparing you for something greater. Pain forces you to reflect. It pushes you to stop and ask, what am I doing wrong? What can I learn from this? What must I change in myself to move forward? When you stop resisting the lessons that pain brings, you begin to evolve. You develop patience, courage, and understanding. You stop fearing failure because you realize that pain is not punishment. It is progress in disguise. Think of every person who has achieved greatness. None of them escaped pain. They embraced it, they used it, they turned every wound into wisdom and every struggle into strength. The difference between those who rise and those who fall is not luck, it is their relationship with pain. The moment you stop running from what hurts you and start learning from it, you unlock a power within yourself that no comfort can ever give. Faith is the unseen power that moves mountains long before your hands ever touch them. It is the inner voice that whispers, "Keep going," when the world shouts, "Give up." Without faith, the mind collapses under fear, but with faith, the impossible begins to bend in your favor. Napoleon Hill called faith the foundation of all miracles because it transforms invisible dreams into visible results. When you act with faith, you are not just hoping for a better future, you are creating it through belief and action combined. Faith is not blind, it is built on trust in your own potential. It is knowing that the seed you plant today will one day become a tree, even if you cannot see it yet. The person without faith gives up before results appear because doubt kills progress faster than failure. The person with faith keeps walking through darkness because they know the light will appear as long as they keep moving. Acting with faith means refusing to let fear decide your actions. Fear will always whisper, "You are not ready. You are not strong enough. You are not worthy." But faith speaks louder and says, "Try anyway." Every great mind that ever changed the world began with an invisible belief. They did not have proof, they only had faith. Faith turned ordinary men into legends because it gave them the courage to act when others hesitated. When you build faith inside your heart, you build energy that attracts opportunity. Life starts aligning with your purpose because your energy becomes focused. Your intentions become clear and your actions gain strength. Faith is a muscle that grows every time you use it. Every small act of courage, every decision made without certainty builds it stronger. When you choose to believe, even when logic tells you not to, you step into the same force that built empires and inspired geniuses. Acting with faith is not waiting for everything to be perfect. It is moving forward even when nothing seems certain. It is believing in the unseen and trusting that your consistent effort will eventually turn your vision into reality. Excuses are the invisible chains that keep you trapped in the same place year after year. They sound harmless, but they quietly destroy your potential. Every time you say, "I cannot," or "I will start tomorrow," you build another wall around your dreams. Excuses are lies we tell ourselves to avoid the discomfort of growth. They make failure feel acceptable and delay responsibility for change. The truth is not that you cannot, the truth is that you will not, and that difference defines the course of your life. Napoleon Hill taught that excuses are the tools of the weak and the shields of the fearful. They protect the ego, but they kill progress. When you cling to excuses, you give up your power to change. You start believing the false story that the world is against you, that life is unfair, that success belongs only to others. These beliefs become comfortable because they require no effort. It is easier to say I was not given the chance than to admit I did not take the chance. It is easier to say the time was not right than to admit I was afraid. But every excuse you keep nurtures weakness, and every excuse you destroy strengthens your will. When you let go of excuses, you strip away every reason not to act. You face the truth that the only thing between you and your dream is your own hesitation. You start taking responsibility for your energy, your time, and your mindset. You begin to realize that discipline is stronger than motivation because discipline acts even when you do not feel ready. Excuses vanish the moment you replace them with action. Look at anyone who has achieved greatness. They were not given perfect conditions. They were not free of struggle or doubt. They simply refused to let excuses rule them. They worked when they were tired, they showed up when they were uncertain, and they persisted when others quit. That is the moment life begins to reward you because the universe respects those who act despite difficulty. Excuses will always whisper to stay safe, but growth demands you to step beyond safety. Every time you silence an excuse, you unlock a new level of strength inside yourself. The greatest lie ever told is that you still have time. Time is the most precious thing you own, and yet it is the one thing most people waste without thought. Every moment you delay your decision, your dream fades a little more. Every day you say, "Not now," your purpose slips further away. Napoleon Hill believed that indecision is one of the greatest causes of failure because hesitation kills momentum. The longer you wait to act, the louder fear becomes, and the more your confidence begins to die. Decision is power. It is the single act that separates dreamers from achievers. When you decide with full conviction, your mind begins to align your thoughts, emotions, and energy toward one goal. The universe responds to clear decisions because clarity attracts direction. People who succeed are not the ones who have perfect plans. They are the ones who take imperfect action. They move first and figure it out along the way. They understand that waiting for the perfect time is just another form of fear disguised as patience. When you move now, you awaken forces that would have stayed asleep had you hesitated. You discover strength you never knew you had. You begin to meet people and opportunities that were invisible until you took that first step. Decision changes your frequency. It shifts your entire reality because energy flows to commitment. The moment you decide to act, your world starts to reorganize itself to match that decision. The habit of waiting is dangerous because it feels safe. You convince yourself that you are preparing when in truth you are hiding. You tell yourself that you need more time, more knowledge, more confidence, but what you really need is courage. Every dream begins in uncertainty. Every great journey starts with a step into the unknown. Moving now does not guarantee success, but standing still guarantees regret. The decision you keep postponing today is the opportunity that could have transformed your life. The world does not reward those who think about acting, it rewards those who act without waiting. Deep within every human being, there exists a power greater than any obstacle outside them. It is silent, invisible, and often forgotten, yet it is the very force that determines who you become. Most people never discover it because they spend their lives looking for strength in others, in luck, in timing, or in approval. But the truth is, you already carry everything you need within you. Napoleon Hill called this the burning desire, the energy that moves mountains and bends circumstances in your favor. When you fully believe in yourself, believing in your inner power begins with recognizing that you are not weak or broken. You are simply unaware of your strength. You were born with infinite potential, and every challenge that appears in your path is designed to awaken it. The mind is your greatest tool, but also your greatest enemy when filled with doubt. When you say, "I cannot," you close the door to possibility. When you say, "I will," you open an entire world of hidden strength and unseen opportunity. Belief is not pretending everything is perfect. Belief is knowing that no matter how difficult things become, you will not stop until you rise above them. When you trust your own power, you begin to act with confidence. You stop asking for permission to live your dreams. You stop waiting for someone to validate your worth. You begin to move with certainty, even when you have no guarantee of success, because you understand that the only true failure is surrender. The more you believe in yourself, the more the world starts to believe in you. Energy follows faith, and faith multiplies results. Every great success story started with one person who refused to doubt themselves. They were laughed at, doubted, rejected, yet their belief never wavered. They saw their dream long before anyone else did because they trusted the voice within. That voice is inside you too, whispering that you are capable of more, that you can create more, that you can become more. When you finally listen to that voice and act on it, your life begins to transform because belief in your inner power is the foundation of all achievement. Fear is not your enemy. It is your signal. It is the whisper that tells you something important lies beyond your comfort zone. Every great dream will scare you because it demands that you become more than you are today. Most people let fear stop them. They freeze when the unknown appears and let opportunities fade because safety feels easier than courage. But Napoleon Hill taught that fear is the mind's greatest enemy, only when you allow it to control you. When you learn to transform fear into fuel, it becomes the very force that drives you toward greatness. Fear and excitement feel almost the same in your body. The only difference is the meaning you attach to it. The same energy that makes your heart race in terror can make it race in passion. When you change your perspective, fear becomes power. It sharpens your awareness. It heightens your senses, and it pushes you to prepare better, to act smarter, to grow stronger. Those who master success do not eliminate fear, they learn to walk beside it. They use its energy to move faster, not slower. When you let fear guide you instead of stop you, it becomes your compass. It points directly toward the areas of life that matter most, the ones that hold your deepest purpose. The things that scare you most are often the very things you are meant to pursue. Fear appears when your soul is standing at the edge of expansion. Every time you run from it, you shrink a little smaller. Every time you face it, you become a little greater. The mind loves safety, but growth lives in risk. Fear is simply your old self fighting to survive while your new self is trying to be born. When you act despite fear, you tell your mind who is in control. You build a new pattern, a new identity, one that no longer collapses under pressure but rises through it. Fear is the price of progress and the energy that powers transformation. The moment you stop viewing fear as an enemy and start treating it as an ally, you begin to access a strength that few ever discover. Fear is not your enemy, it is your signal. It is the whisper that tells you something important lies beyond your comfort zone. Every great dream will scare you because it demands that you become more than you are today. Most people let fear stop them. They freeze when the unknown appears and let opportunities fade because safety feels easier than courage. But Napoleon Hill taught that fear is the mind's greatest enemy only when you allow it to control you. When you learn to transform fear into fuel, it becomes the very force that drives you toward greatness. Fear and excitement feel almost the same in your body. The only difference is the meaning you attach to it. The same energy that makes your heart race in terror can make it race in passion. When you change your perspective, fear becomes power. It sharpens your awareness, it heightens your senses, and it pushes you to prepare better, to act smarter, to grow stronger. Those who master success do not eliminate fear, they learn to walk beside it. They use its energy to move faster, not slower. When you let fear guide you instead of stop you, it becomes your compass. It points directly toward the areas of life that matter most, the ones that hold your deepest purpose. The things that scare you most are often the very things you are meant to pursue. Fear appears when your soul is standing at the edge of expansion. Every time you run from it, you shrink a little smaller. Every time you face it, you become a little greater. The mind loves safety, but growth lives in risk. Fear is simply your old self fighting to survive while your new self is trying to be born. When you act despite fear, you tell your mind who is in control. You build a new pattern, a new identity, one that no longer collapses under pressure but rises through it. Fear is the price of progress and the energy that powers transformation. The moment you stop viewing fear as an enemy and start treating it as an ally, you begin to access a strength that few ever discover. Your thoughts are the architects of your destiny. Every idea, every belief, every word that repeats in your mind shapes the world you live in. What you constantly think becomes what you eventually experience. Most people never realize how much power they hand over to negative thinking. They allow fear, doubt, anger, and jealousy to build walls inside their minds and then wonder why life feels so limited. Napoleon Hill taught that the mind is like a garden. If you plant weeds, you cannot expect flowers. If you fill it with worry, you cannot expect peace. Control your thoughts and you control everything that follows. Controlling your thoughts does not mean ignoring reality. It means choosing which reality you want to strengthen. Every time you dwell on failure, you feed it. Every time you think about victory, you attract it closer. The law of the mind is simple. Whatever you focus on expands. If you think about fear, you will find more reasons to be afraid. If you think about courage, you will discover more reasons to act. The quality of your thoughts decides the quality of your life. To master your mind, you must first become aware of it. Most people think automatically without ever observing what goes on in their own heads. The mind is constantly speaking, yet few stop to listen. Pay attention to the words you say to yourself when you wake up, when you face difficulty, when you look at your reflection. Are those words lifting you or breaking you? Once you begin to notice your patterns, you gain the power to change them. Awareness is the first step to control. Every thought you repeat becomes a belief, and every belief becomes a habit. The person who trains their mind to focus on strength, gratitude, and progress becomes unstoppable. When doubt appears, you can replace it with faith. When negativity rises, you can redirect it toward purpose. You are not a victim of your thoughts, you are their master. The moment you accept this truth, you realize that success, happiness, and peace are all built from the inside out. Control the inner conversation, and the outer world will begin to follow your command. Discipline is the bridge between your vision and your reality. It is the quiet force that transforms dreams into habits and habits into achievements. Most people fail not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they lack consistency. They start with excitement, but stop when the feeling fades. Discipline is what carries you forward when motivation disappears. Napoleon Hill said that the man who masters himself is greater than the man who conquers 1,000 battles. True power is not found in bursts of effort, but in the ability to act with purpose every single day. Discipline means doing what must be done even when you do not feel like it. It means waking up early when your body wants to rest and staying focused when your mind wants to wander. It is not about punishment, it is about control. When you train your mind to obey your goals, you begin to shape your destiny with precision. Every small act of discipline strengthens your willpower like a muscle. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes to overcome laziness, distraction, and fear. People often wait for the perfect mood to take action, but discipline does not depend on moods. It depends on decisions. You decide once, and then you follow through no matter what. Every day you keep your promise to yourself, your confidence grows. You begin to trust your own word. You no longer need outside validation because you know that your commitment is stronger than your emotions. That kind of inner trust creates momentum, and momentum creates success. Think about the greatest minds and leaders who ever lived. Like, they were not guided by comfort. They were guided by routine and order. They created systems that kept them moving forward regardless of how they felt. That is the essence of discipline. It gives structure to chaos and focus to ambition. Without it, dreams remain fantasies. With it, even the impossible becomes achievable. The disciplined person does not ask how long it will take. They simply begin and keep going until the work is done. Every key you need has already been placed inside you. The moment you awaken your mind and take responsibility for your life, the chains of fear begin to fall. When you embrace pain with courage, act with faith, and let go of excuses, your transformation becomes unstoppable. Discipline turns your strength into action, and belief turns your action into miracles. This is your time to rise. Wake up and change everything, because the life you dream of is already waiting for the version of you who decides to finally live it.